Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring an absolutely fascinating blind spot in human perception. If you pride yourself on being super observant, or, if you've ever completely trusted your own eyes, well, This Explainer is going to make you question literally all of that. We're looking at a deeply fascinating, almost sci-fi sounding process that's happening right inside your head at this very moment. It's called the ghost printing machine, and we're going to unpack exactly how your brain bridges reality. Let's get right into it. Okay, I want you to visualize something with me for a second. Picture looking at a screen. On it, there are two separate sets of black and white vertical stripes, and they're moving steadily up and down. But right in the middle, perfectly separating these two moving patterns, is a wide, completely blank gap, just a totally empty block. Now, if you focus really intensely on that blank gap while the stripes move on either side, ask yourself, do you see something there? Can you perceive a faint, almost transparent, ghostly flicker kind of bridging that empty void? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that if you do visualize that faint connection, you aren't just imagining the bridge. Actually, scratch that, you are completely imagining it. But it's not a mistake on your part. Your brain is actively acting as a ghost printing machine. It sees a visual void, panics just a little bit, and decides to fill in the blanks of your reality right before your conscious mind even registers what's happening. Section 1. Bridging the void. The investigation begins. So, how exactly does this happen? Well, in the rigorous world of vision science, this exact illusion actually has a formal name: visual phantoms. It's this optical phenomenon where your brain sketches a phantom connection. And the reason for this is utterly fascinating. It does it to fix an error. You see, science tells us that our human brains absolutely hate a broken story. They just can't stand it. When visual information doesn't line up perfectly neatly, the brain essentially steps in like a compulsive film editor, just cutting and pasting to make the scene make sense. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the exact three-step logic sequence that triggers this phenomenon. Step 1. Your eyes detect two distinct patterns moving in perfect sync with one another. Step 2. Because that motion is perfectly synchronized, your brain immediately jumps to a conclusion and assumes, these two patterns must actually belong to a single, solid object. And finally, step 3, because the physical gap breaks that single object apart, your brain decides to fix the visual error by sketching a phantom bridge right across the empty space. It's literally writing its own code to make the world cohesive. Section 2, Printing Your Reality, the Neurological Culprit. Now we're looking directly at the neurological culprit behind the curtain, and I want to emphasize something massive here. This phantom bridge we're discussing, it isn't just a fleeting, abstract psychological thought. No, this is an actual, measurable, physical process happening right now in the wetware of your neural circuitry. Notice the stark contrast here. On one side, we have what is actually in the physical world. Only darkness, a completely empty gap with zero visual data. But on the other side, we see what your brain aggressively does. It literally prints pixels of light. Your brain is intervening. It decides that the darkness is completely unacceptable and actively paints its own light into the void so that the moving shapes make geometric sense to you. And this brilliantly illustrates the biological mechanics at play. Like, how does your brain actually paint that light? Well, studies show that your higher brain, the complex processing centers dealing with logic and object recognition, initiates this intervention. Then it does something truly wild. It sends feedback signals backward. It fires those electrical signals in reverse, directly targeting your primary visual cortex, which scientists call V1. V1 is essentially the raw input center of your vision. So by sending signals backward, your higher brain is fundamentally hacking your own visual hardware to force an edit into your perception. Crazy, right? So the crucial point is this. You aren't just seeing reality, you're projecting it. Take a second to really let that sink in. I mean, most of us walk through life assuming our eyes are perfectly objective cameras, right? Just passively recording the world exactly as it is. But the slightly unsettling reality is that your brain is an active projector, physically altering the image before you even have a chance to consciously process it. Section 3. The evolutionary twist. The motive behind the illusion. But we naturally have to ask ourselves, why? We're shifting right now from an incredibly cool neurological fact to uncovering the high-stakes, life-or-death motive behind the illusion. Why on earth would our biology evolve over millions of years to actively hallucinate our surroundings? I mean, if our survival in a dangerous world depends on highly accurate information, why would nature hardwire us with a ghost printing machine that makes up things that aren't even there? Well, the answer to that question is the predator in the trees.
Think about our early human ancestors trying to survive out in the wild. If a dangerous, fast-moving predator is stalking you and it momentarily moves behind a thick row of trees, it doesn't suddenly cease to exist, right? It hasn't just vanished from the earth. It is simply, from your perspective, in the gap between your lines of sight.
This means our visual phantom glitch isn't really a glitch at all. It's actually a brilliant, highly tuned survival mechanism. When that predator enters the visual gap behind the trees, your brain automatically sketches a ghost of the movement. By artificially connecting the synchronized motion from one side of the tree trunk to the other, your brain guarantees that you never ever lose track of a moving target. It prioritizes the continuous path of a potential threat over the empty, static space in front of it. Basically, it's drawing the predator in the dark so you stay alive.
Which brings us to our final, lingering thoughts for this explainer. Your reality is a blind sketch. Stop trusting your eyes. The next time you are absolutely 100% certain of what you saw, take a breath and remember the ghost printing machine working silently inside your skull. You are always at least a little bit projecting your own survival story onto the world. So, what else might your brain be sketching into your reality right now? Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and keep questioning what you see.